All right, here we are, Impact and Influence Radio right here on iHeart. And today's broadcast is brought to you by Blinds of Sacramento, Sacramento's complete solution window covering experts. Give them a call, 916-790-8689 or blindsofsacramento.com. Now, today, we are talking with Dr. Cheri Seagraves. Did I get that right?
Seagraves.
Seagraves.
With an S on the end.
S. I didn't put an S. Seagraves. Dr. Cheri Seagraves. Boom. Got it. Boom, boom, boom. ImpactLeadershipCollective.com. We're going to be learning about leadership today. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Quinn.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
And also, that was a great event. New Win, she puts on one heck of an event. She gets a lot of people out there. We're going to be talking about small business mindset. We're going to be talking about what it really takes to take your business to the next level. And you are the expert, so we're going to be talking about that.
Looking forward to it.
You ready?
I am ready.
Let's do this. So before we really dig into this, who is Dr. Cheri?
All right, let me see if I can say it without telling you my whole life story. I am somebody who is very passionate about helping leaders, and I think it's because I've experienced a lot of experiences where the leadership experience wasn't that great.
Yes.
And what I saw for myself was if I have a bad day at work because of a bad leadership experience, that trickles into my whole life.
Well, not only does it do that, it trickles into the entire organization. If you have, they say the poop rolls downhill.
It does.
And so if you've got upper management, bottom management, everything is just going to continue to trickle down into your sales staff, and who ends up feeling that? The customer, the consumer, the client.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I named my company Impact Leadership Collective, knowing that every action a leader is doing is having a ripple effect across their whole organization, and sometimes they're not aware of that impact. So that's where I have dedicated everything I've learned and developed to really helping and supporting leaders have that awareness of the impact they're having. And then once they have the awareness, how to get them in alignment with what they're wanting to create, and then helping them have the tools and the actions to support all of that.
So what exactly do you do? A business owner comes to you. Is this a company that's already established? Is it a small business that's thinking about starting? Is it somebody like myself that's been around the block a billion times, and I have the foundation, but I haven't scaled yet?
I'm usually not your day one person.
Okay.
I think there are others that really specialize in that. My sweet spot is with companies that have already something that they've proven, that they've established. They've been around a while, but they're still a small team, and they're wanting to grow, they're wanting to scale. Whether this is a community business or a startup, and either if they were a startup and they just got some extra funding and now they're going to scale, or just the market is now ready for them to grow, and they have an amazing product. They know how to scale their product. They know how to scale their business, but do they know how to scale their people?
Or not only do they not know how to scale their people, they don't know how to scale the operations. See, there's a lot of small businesses where I want to get into this small business mindset. We get into a business. Some people get into it chasing the money. I always say never start a business for the money unless you're buying a business. That's a whole different animal. But if you're starting a business and you're doing it because the money's going to be good, well, as soon as the money's not good, you're out, right? So you have to build it off of passion. And the problem with that is that when you build a business off of passion, you have to get people in that are going to have that same passion that you do, that work ethic that's extremely hard to sell, right? The other side of it is building something that's scalable. You get a small business in and they want to be an artist. It's going to be really hard to scale that business unless you understand intellectual property and publishing and getting that product out in mass market. And so if you're building an organization like yourself or a doctor's office, or like we had Blossom in here that has the laser company, working with these different people, you've got to have that. You've got to have the structure from the beginning. You can't wait until 10 years down the line. Like we were talking before we got
Yes.
started, you coming in and having to clean up somebody else's mess, but the business was never designed right to begin with.
Exactly.
But now the money's starting to come in, and it's coming in droves, and they've got to figure out how to fix this before the consumer finds out, and then all of a sudden, now you have bad reviews, and now that's non-fixable, completely not fixable.
Yeah, absolutely. That whole having an operating
There's
system.
so many elements to this.
There
There's so many
is.
moving parts, and you're trying to explain it.
I know. So there is that operating system that we know our computers have operating systems. Our organizations need to have operating systems. And that's where we end up. And I think where I'm unique, what I bring is, yes, that's where we need to end up, but there's some things that have to be in place before you can even create that internal operating system this is our systems, this is our how we manage performance, this is our competency framework, okay, all of that. But before that, you literally have to have a culture
Oh, God, I was getting ready to say that.
that's going to support
Yes.
that. In fact, I did my whole
Yes.
doctoral research around organizational culture and engagement, so I love that
What's
topic.
actually funny is when my wife did her master's degree, we did it on two companies. We did it on Bentley in their approach and Harley Davidson in their approach. And it was really interesting to see how those companies are structured from the
Okay, it is
inside
kind of
out.
funny. You were talking about your wife's,
Yeah.
and you said we. So
We.
you must have really helped her a lot.
Oh,
So-
I'm a business nerd, right? So, it's I live and breathe this stuff.
Yes.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I was all in on that. I couldn't tell you what school she was going to, but I know all about the studies and the papers
Exactly.
that she was working on.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a group effort. So yes, you end up with your operating system. We need the culture that's going to support that. But for me, there's two things that are even before that. And in order to have the culture that you're going to need, you need to know how to communicate with each other. So I actually have designed my own communication framework that maybe we can go into that on another episode or if we have time today.
Yeah.
But even before the communication piece, it's the internal work that the leader needs to do. One of the things that I'm a firm believer in is that there needs to be alignment across all of those elements. And I have a program I've created called Align Within, and it's a key part of another thing that I work on called integrated leadership that we can talk about. But what I've seen is before you can scale the outside of a company, the external part, most leaders need to do some internal scaling and develop some greater internal capacity to be able to hold that and handle that. And it starts with that at that somatic level, your nervous system. Most of us have our set point of what we can handle, and you double your company, you bet that's going to hit your nervous system.
100%.
And after that, it's your emotional bandwidth and how granular of emotions can you hold. And then after that, it's your cognitive processes. How do you think? What's your mindset? Do you know where your blind spots are? And all of that rolls into really your identity. So those 4 elements of capacity are what I work with leaders on one-on-one and in small groups. Okay, first we need to build that internal capacity of you as a leader.
What can you handle? That's the other thing. I talk to these people all the time. You see it with lottery winners, right? And I'm like, why are you playing the lottery? You can't even get your car payment on time. You don't own a home. Quit. You have to figure out how to handle small money before you start handling big money.
Absolutely. And when I share what I just shared, people go, oh, what? I have to go to therapy? And I'm like, it is not that. It's just if you don't scale your internal capacity first,
you're not going to sleep.
You're
not going to eat. Your relationships are going to go poo-poo.
You'll be the bottleneck. You'll be the weak link. And so it starts there. And then once leaders have that internal capacity, and it's not a one and done, but it's having the ongoing awareness of that. Okay, now we can talk about how do we communicate? How do the relationships
Maybe
work?
you're not even the CEO. You should probably not be in that position. You can be the brains, but let's bring somebody in that can actually run this thing and get it where it needs to go. Or let's just focus on staying small and manageable.
And that's sometimes
There's nothing wrong with that.
absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to set realistic expectations. What is your definition of success? Is your success the house on the hill and the Ferrari and the whole thing? Or is your definition of success freedom?
Well, that kind of goes to one of the other things about a leader's identity, that a lot of leaders, their whole sense of worth and identity is so tied to the bottom line of their company that is actually an issue.
Wow.
That you should deeply care about the success of your organization, but as it rises and falls, if that affects your sense of worth and identity, that's actually going to be a problem.
Yes.
In the long run, not just for you personally, but also for your organization.
Yes, for everybody. Absolutely. Wild stuff. So we have a lady coming in today at 1:00, Belle Blaney. Can you stay until 1:00 to meet this woman?
I can, yes.
Oh my God. I want to introduce her. I hope she shows up on time. Honestly, the two of you guys, you're probably going to want to stay for her recording.
Well, and you're like the master networker, so looking forward to it.
Seriously. She's amazing. And I think she's a doctor. Yes, she's a doctor as well. But she works with the psychological element on helping. I'm gonna let you.
Let us geek out with each other.
Oh my God, dude! No, seriously. I didn't realize that until what you were talking. I'm like, this is gonna be our recording in an hour. Like, this is great. Okay, so where is before I get into the integrated leader, where does your passion come in? Why are you so passionate about this? When you speak, you're smiling, you're glowing. Like, it's like, you talk to some business owners. And, they bought a business and they talk about their business and they're talking about the bottom line and this is all about this and this. We get the projections and the numbers. But then you talk to an entrepreneur, somebody who built something. And when they talk about it, it's just like, I got to share this with you. It's so exciting. And that's the way you are.
Thank you. It's when somebody asked me one time, what do you really want to do in life? And I said, I want to do cool stuff with cool people in cool places.
That's awesome.
That's actually my bottom line.
Why don't you just make that the title of your book?
I know it should be.
Can I do that? Can I steal that from you?
Absolutely, yeah, we can share it. I'll let you be one of my cool people, so that'll be great. But really, I think what drives me passion-wise, and this might sound kind of funny as like why you would want to have a successful business, is at the end of the day, I think it's partly to reduce human suffering, because most people spend most of their time at work, and you look at the statistics, and 70+% of people say they don't like their jobs, and that part of their life, frankly, sucks.
That's most of their life.
It's most of your life. And so I think the work I know I can do that helps a leader, that helps an organization, that trickles down, that ripples out, and in the end, reduces suffering and makes the planet a better place.
Okay, so the types of clients, you're looking for something specific. What are you looking for?
Yes. Those that, well, for one, kind of going back to being willing to do the internal work, I really want to work with people who have the humility and the willingness to, step one, leave ego at the door and be willing to do the personal work in order to do the business work.
That was the bone crushing moment right there. It was leave the ego at the door. I must say this every single day. The ego is the biggest killer. It's the biggest killer. Look at our politicians. Mm-hmm. Look at what's happening in our world. Look at these people. I mean, we're in El Dorado Hills. You see the ego all over the place. And you just see the demise of these people. They don't even realize what's happening. And you go to the networking events and you talk to these people and they just brag and brag and brag. And I'm like, why are you here on a Tuesday at 11 a.m. if you have all this?
Yeah. And, I mean, at the end of the day, we all have ego.
It's okay.
It's okay. We all have it. I think
we're proud of ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that.
One of the things I also really use personally myself and use with all my clients is I have this thing called the blind spot detector, because we all have blind spots. Mm-hmm. One of the people I follow a lot, Dr. David Rock, he's like, if you have a brain, you have bias. If you have a brain, you have blind spots. We do.
So talk to me about this.
Yeah. So our blind spots, they occur in predictable locations. That's the good news.
Okay.
The bad news is we all have them. The good news is
I think I know where this is going.
they happen in predictable locations. When you've done some of that internal work and you have self-awareness, I lean a lot into personality science. And so I have a process that often
That's
the
where Belle
things,
Blaney, that's what she does.
yeah, the things that are your strongest drivers under stress, the flip side of that actually becomes your blind spot. And so there's a lot of nuance around that.
So tell me if this is what this is, because I've talked about this in my books and I've talked about this on the shows, and I give advice on this all the time. But maybe this is the same thing, and maybe you've got an actual name for it. My wife and I'll be playing a game of cards. I think I'm about to whoop her butt, and I've learned to stop and look for the variables because I know she's about to kick mine. And the moment that I think, oh, I got it in the bag, boom, I'm out. And I do that all the time. So I'm in traffic and I'll be like, oh, there's no car there. And I go, nah, check again. Oh, there is a car there. And I do this all the time. It's almost like just think it through. And we have to do this in business, and we have to do it in relationships. And you meet somebody and you shake their hand, something doesn't feel right, and then you ask a couple of questions, and you're like, I calm my nerves, and you go, no, you know what? Something didn't feel right for a reason. And so, is that kind of the same thing?
It is, and it's knowing, like, you have some of your awareness of what those signs are that cause
Intuition.
that cause you to pause. Everybody needs to develop their own. One of mine is, in a moment, I can tell whether I'm feeling expanded, open, or whether I'm feeling that sense of constriction and things are feeling tight. Like, that's my, am I feeling opened or closed? Am I feeling expanded or am I feeling restricted? And knowing that if I'm feeling contracted and restricted, because I'm also a neuroscience geek, in that moment I know what's happening to my brain. I know that I'm not at my best. And I know then in those moments where my blind spots are.
I'll be at a networking event, and I'll be talking to somebody, and I'm comfortable. Okay, and you're gonna look at this. You're gonna know exactly where I'm going with this, and I'm comfortable.
Now I'm gonna be watching you at networking events, but
and I'll be sitting there having the conversation with somebody, and I'm like this, and I'm having this conversation, and then I'm fine.
Okay, for those who are just listening, he's like balled up with his arms tight to his chest.
Yes, and then I remember this study that was done by the FBI about people who were uncomfortable. And they bring their arms in and they cover themselves almost in a cower position. But I'm not that way. I just have my arms closed. But then I think about it and I go, oh, I need to put my hands in my pockets or put my hands to my side. And now I'm open. And now I can be more engaged with that person. But I find myself, it's not that I'm closed off. I'm thinking. But when our body, our natural movement closes us in, it's protecting from something.
Yeah, that's so true. One of the things I also work with leaders on is executive presence, and often how they often have to speak. And back in years ago, I taught public speaking, and one of the things still to this day I'll watch people and coach people on is your brain and your body are in constant communication with each other, and we know that if we're thinking something, our body's going to respond in a certain way. But the good news is the flip is also true. And if you just plant your feet on the ground, you feel stable, you feel secure, it causes your body to open. And guess what? Then your brain opens, your mind opens, your heart opens.
When I do presentations, if I'm standing, it is all bad. It is all bad. If I bring a bar stool with me, and I sit in the center of the stage, and I sit on the bar stool, and I talk for 10 minutes, I'll open up the room for an hour and have conversations with people in the room, and I can just sit in that space. I can do that all day long. And it's real, and it's emotional, and it's authentic. But the moment I'm standing around, I'm like trying to be a presenter. Where do I put my hands? And I just sit. And I think that comes back to the radio thing, is that I'm sitting in one place, I'm having these conversations, and I'm not standing and walking around while we're doing a recording. I'm sitting and I'm just
and you've learned what you need to be your very best self in service of your community, your audience. And I guess I'm I don't know, some people say I'm like a dreamer, but I'm like, okay, imagine an organization where all the leaders knew how to do that.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
what that would, how that organization.
But see, that's what
would
makes the
impact
organization
things.
not robots, because there's different personalities, different talent sets, different focuses. You know, one person's strengths is another person's weakness. They always say, you know, you find your spouse that's your exact opposite, right? And so, and then eventually what happens is the two of you morph into each other. But your weakness is their strength, and their strength is your weakness, and then you guys become solid in one unit. And I think that's very important in a business as well. Is getting the right people, that right dynamic. If you've got alphas throughout the entire organization, you're just going to be. It's like a bunch of electrons all bouncing off of each other. It's just. You know, it's fire, literally.
I actually saw a bunch of wild dogs, but go on.
But yeah, but you have electrons that are all bouncing off of each other. What happens? Everything gets hot, right? It's heat. Yeah. So, all right. Now, where do you see the changes happening in the world? And then let's tie that in with AI, because can a robot or can science make the organization more efficient, or is this still a human element here?
I think there will be parts that will always stay human, but I am personally really excited about all the things that AI is going to automate and a lot of the problems that AI is going to be able to solve for businesses and for healthcare. And I mean, I love all of where AI is going.
That's what we use for everything.
Yeah, I use it every day, and every day I'm learning something new. One of the things I think is going to emerge more and more as things become more automated is that real desire for the human connection and the in-person connection. That's one of the fact that you and I are sitting here in person versus in a Zoom meeting where I spend most of my life. I know me personally, I'm craving more and more of the in-person dynamic.
So, you know, I keep telling people social media is dying, and they argue with me, and that's fine. It's okay to have opinions. But look at what's happening with social media. There's more and more people getting away from it. Yeah, but their numbers are up. That's fine. Their numbers are up. But look at the garbage that's on there, right? And working with business professionals on the regular, you know, every now and again, people are like, yeah, I want to do the recording on Zoom. We don't do Zoom. You have to come in. I want to feel belly to belly. I want that real energy. I want you to be here. I want to meet you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But the other side of it, social media, you can only get so much from social media. You can look at the restaurant and look at the food and the whole thing and see people's reactions, and you know, even a lot of that's all cooked up now. But the point is that you're still going to go to the restaurant. You're still going to want to find out what this business is about. Real estate. Yeah, you could buy homes off the internet or cars off of the internet, but you still want to go down there and talk to them.
Exactly.
And so that's you know, and you know, social media has got its place, but I'm seeing more and more people shy away from it, especially with their business, and they're going back to physical mediums. They're going back to pen and paper. It's kind of a weird thing. It's like we're going in reverse, but we're not. We're moving forward. We're just utilizing different technologies.
Exactly. So for me, it's not a either or. It's a how can we fully lean in
Adapt.
and leverage all the AI can do for us and really lean into the live human connection.
Yeah. And they're worried, oh, well, robots are going to this and robots are not going to make music for the sake of making music. Robots are not going to make television shows and heal people for the sake of healing people or healing robots. Robots have a purpose, just like everything else. Like we have a purpose. And if you don't have a purpose, then
Yes.
you know, that's where you come in, right?
Well said.
Yeah. The integrated leader. Talk to me about this.
Yeah,
I saved the best for the last.
all right. Thank you so much. Yeah, that is, I would say, of all the things I do, one of my passion projects, because all of us have, you know, either done anything from as small as like read a book and now you have knowledge about something and you see a gap between, oh, now what you know and who you're being, your lived experience. So sometimes it's as simple as I read a book and I see something differently. Or on a larger scale, I see a lot of people who have had paradigm shifting experiences. Maybe it was a health challenge. Maybe it was they and their executive team went to Costa Rica and spent a month in the jungle to, have an experience, whatever that might be. Maybe they went paddleboarding on some river, whatever. There's a lot of experiences people have that cause you have literally a paradigm shift. You come back, your values are different, you see the world different.
Oh my God.
You are a different person.
That was the most important element for me in my business was COVID. Mm-hmm. COVID was the most important part of my business. Before COVID, I had a car collection, a watch collection, a guitar collection. I lived on the 14th floor downtown, grand piano and living room, marble floors. You think, oh my God, I made it. It cost me $20,000 to pay my bills. I was stressed out. I was sick. My buddy pulls me aside and he goes, "You're going to die, dude." Like literally, he just told me, "You're going to die." He's like, you're blue. You're stressed out. And I was like, how in the world do I have everything and I'm miserable? And then you see COVID, okay, and everyone's locked in their homes, and you turn the TV on and you see these people living in the jungle and they have nothing and they're happy. And I'm like, how do they have nothing and they're happy and I have everything and I'm miserable? Like I literally want to kill myself, like legitimately. And so my wife and I, one day we became minimalists. Mm-hmm. I went to one pen. Look at this beat up pen with dents in it and everything. I have one pen. I've got one computer. If you look in our home, we don't have a TV in the house. We have beautiful. We obviously you see where we live. We're in a beautiful area. We have one car. I don't need 15, 18 pairs of pants. I have like 5 pairs of pants. It's enough to get you through the week. I got everything that I need. And so you get to a point where you get on Amazon or you get on your favorite website or whatever it is, and you're like, I want to buy something. And then you think about it and you go, there's nothing really I need.
Yeah. So Quinn, what you were able to do was you had that like eye-opening, paradigm-shifting moment. And sometimes it's...
you change the thinking, it becomes so much better for your business because now you're no longer chasing. Mm-hmm. You're not like, I have to make this money. I have to close this deal. I have to work these hours. I have to do these things. All of a sudden that goes out the window because you have everything.
And you have that awareness on the inside. And sometimes it happens instantly. Sometimes it's a process. But then so many of these leaders and executives then step back into those executive roles with those leadership teams and how performance is managed and all of that. And they don't have a new pattern yet for how they run their organization, how they translate that into a culture that is now going to align with these new values they have. Systems and processes that align back to the new things they value. I mean, a perfect example, one of the common things that people usually walk away with from those shifting experiences, truly the value of the human, that people have worth and value. And if you've been a leader that has literally just seen all of your people as numbers and spreadsheets,
yes.
And every year we cut 20% of them and whatever that might be, and you step back into your company, you're like, dang, how do I still manage performance and keep the bottom line tight and actually care about people? They haven't repatterned how they run their companies, how they set up cultures. And so that's this concept of the integrated leader. For one, sometimes you just need to even integrate those insights internally within yourself. But once you've done that, you've kind of had that alignment within, then it really is, now how do I set up an organization? How do I set up my company that's going to align with all that? How can we integrate all of that together to really have a wildly successful company that's fully fulfilling its mission and is still honoring all of those new insights that the leader has had? And so that's why I call it the integrated leader, because there is a process of integration. You don't just have insight and then it's one and done.
Yes.
There's an integration process, and that's what I'm passionate about helping leaders do.
So as we start to wind this down, where do you come in and how, a business owner or a company owner, whatever it is, where do you come in and what steps do you take to get them from point A to point B?
Yeah, thank you. I come in ideally before a massive change. whether that is you're going to scale, you're going to roll out something new, any kind of change that's going to happen. And so bring me in before rather than after. And my process, I don't do very many things that are cookie cutter. For the most part, it all starts with a needs assessment. I am a firm believer in listen first.
Oh, yes.
Knowing that those business owners, I step in with respect and honor of where the work you've done to get where you are now, and you are the expert in your business. And so really listening for where they're at. And then we do a needs assessment.
And then you come and just tighten everything up.
And it's a very guided process, but we co-create where you want to end up and then build the system to get there.
Just amazing. Dr. Cheri Seagraves, impactleadershipcollective.com, 760-793-0494,
0994.
0994. You see my terrible handwriting? You know what's funny about mistakes is that now they're listening. Now they have to listen and they capture it. If you don't, they just blows over. So 760-793-0994. Anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Just thank you, Quinn. It's been a genuine pleasure.
Absolutely. And then Belle will be here in about an hour. So, of course, I want to introduce you to that lovely lady. Just amazing woman. 760-793-0994, impactleadershipcollective.com. And thank you guys so much for listening. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.